everyone! I hope you are having a great day today. I'm Miss Lewandowski and I'm here today to teach us some more math. We just finished up our triangles and quadrilaterals, so today we're going to move into something a little different. We are going to talk about partitioning a rectangle. You might be thinking to yourself, Miss Lewandowski, what in the world does it mean to partition a rectangle? Well, I'm going to explain to you what the word partition means, also with some other things today that we're going to talk about. Alright, before we dive into that, I want to tell you what partition means. So if I say the word partition, it means to cut or split something up into equal pieces. So if I was, let's say, partitioning a pizza, I would be splitting it up or cutting it up into equal pieces. So today, when we're partitioning rectangles, we're going to be splitting up our rectangles into equal parts. We're also going to be talking today about something called rows, columns, and then we're going to dig a little bit into fractions as well. Alrighty, with that being said, we are going to dive right into this nice PowerPoint that I have today. Like I said, we're partitioning a rectangle with rows and columns. Alrighty. Getting started, first we are going to look and see what it looks like to split a rectangle into columns. Alright? Columns split up the shape evenly or equally using lines that go up and down. So these lines, you can see right here, they are going up and down and they're splitting my rectangle into columns. Something that I want to point out is that your columns need to be equal. I cannot have a column that is really little and then a really big one and then all these medium-sized ones, because that is not splitting it up into equal parts. The columns have to be equal parts. Alright? Looking at this rectangle, I'm going to count how many columns I see in this shape. Well, first I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 columns in this rectangle. Alright, moving on, we are now going to see what it looks like to split a rectangle into rows. So rows are those lines and they split up a shape that evenly and they go side to side. So my rows go side to side. Looking at this shape, it's the same thing. Also, our rows have to be equal. So I cannot have a really tiny row that looks like this and then a big one. They have to be equal. So they have to all be the same size. Looking at this rectangle, I would like for you to count with me how many rows I have. So I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 rows. When you partition a rectangle, you give it a certain number of rows and columns. So we have this rectangle right here that has different rows and columns. Like I said, you have to make sure that those are equal. You can see down here that each piece is equal in size. Before we count how many rows and columns we have on this rectangle, I want you to just do a quick little review with me on what those rows and those columns are. So I want you to take your hand and I want you to repeat after me. Columns go up and down. All right, I want you to say it now. Columns go up and down. Now I want you to say that rows go side to side. All right, repeat with me now. Rows go side to side. Right? That's a pretty good way to remember that columns go up and down, rows go side to side. I always use those hand movements because those help me remember. Alrighty, looking at our rectangle now, we see that it has some columns and it has some rows. I would like for you now to count with me how many columns does this shape have. Let's count together. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this rectangle has 6 columns that go up and down. Alrighty. Now I would like for you to count with me how many rows or how many side-to-side rows that this rectangle has. Well, it has one, 2, 3. This rectangle has 3 rows. Alrighty. We are now going to talk a little bit about fractions, right? I would like for you to put your eyes right over here and look at this rectangle right here. It is divided into 2 equal parts. When you have a shape that is divided into 2 equal parts, we call that halves. So one thing I want to point out is that it has to be 2 equal parts. You cannot have a rectangle that is divided like this and say that is halves, because those 2 pieces are not equal. In order to be halves, it has to have 2 equal parts. So looking at this rectangle, I would write that this piece would be 1/2 of the rectangle, because it is one of my 2 pieces. So this would be 1/2. This is also 1/2 because this is one of my 2 pieces. So it is 1/2 of the rectangle. Moving on over to here, we see that this rectangle is divided into thirds. It is divided into 3 equal parts. If something is in thirds, it means that it is 3 equal parts. Same thing, it has to be equal. I can't have a third that looks like this and then a really big one that looks like this. They have to be equal parts. So instead of writing 1/2 for this side like I did over here, I have 3 total pieces. So this piece would be one of my 3 pieces. Same with this. This is one of my 3 total pieces. And same with my last one over here. One of my 3 total pieces. So if it is divided into 3 equal parts, that is thirds. And finally, we're going to come over down here and we're going to look at this one. This one's a little different because now it is divided into 4 equal parts. When it is divided into 4 equal parts, we call that fourths. All right? We are going to write this one as 1/4 because this is one of my 4 pieces. So each one of these pieces would be 1/4 because it is one of my 4 pieces, right? So now we talked a little bit about partitioning rectangles and a little bit about fractions. For your assignment today, you're going to be looking at different rectangles that are divided into rows and columns, and you are going to be counting how many rows and how many columns does each rectangle have. After you do that, you are going to answer a couple questions about fractions, and you're going to see what those rectangles are divided into, whether that be halves, thirds, or fourths, right? If you forget anything, just go back and watch this video to help you remember. If you're still having trouble, then reach out to me and I will give you some more help. But good luck on your assignment today, guys. Awesome job, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.